Hey guys, welcome back to Uncut Hawaii. I'm Kobe,
I'm Andrew.
and it's the podcast where we talk to Hawaii's top entrepreneurs, creators, change makers, and some of our friends and get to know them better, which is what we did today.
Yeah, we actually had our guest wife on during season one, and we got to talk to her about what they've been doing, working together and whatnot. But today we have Jasper Wong.
Hmm.
He's an amazing artist, illustrator, creative. He's a father. He owns businesses. He creates NFTs. He does so much things.
Yeah.
And it's um, a longtime friend as well. I've known him for over a decade, and we've actually worked together in so many projects and traveled for Powwow Worldwide, one of his projects that he started to bring murals into communities and kind of just like give back and create avenues for artists. So we're excited to have him, and yeah, it was a great conversation and excited to share.
Yeah, it's so interesting that he's such an amazing artist, but also I think even more than that, like just a leader, a community builder, entrepreneur. So he's good at everything that he does basically. And
Yeah.
him and Amy, they're just such a power couple. They play off each other's strengths. They are each other's biggest cheerleader. So that was super inspirational for me. So hope you guys like it.
Jasper Wong, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for. I'm like the sloppy seconds because you have my wife on first.
We got all the dirt already.
Yeah,
Now we're hearing the other side of the story.
Yeah, we had to bring you on to defend yourself, I guess.
Good.
No, but yeah, thank you for joining us. I mean, we've had, like we were just talking before this, like I've known you for over 10 years of my life. And
I know. I feel like I know you. We've only just met, but I feel like I know you through all of the stories that Andrew's told
we
me over
traveled
the
to
last 10 years.
so many countries, we worked on so many projects together. And then honestly, Jasper has gotten me so many like gigs and like even my team. And so I'm very grateful. So thank you. We have such a special relationship. And I'm so stoked you're on here today.
He's
Yeah,
like your big brother.
Yeah.
I do feel that way sometimes, especially when
We
he breaks things.
We have some good memories. Oh, let's not talk about that.
Breaks things.
Yeah.
Like expensive things.
I mean, we're okay. So I guess we'll start the episode with that story. We travel a lot. Jasper is founder and director of Powwow worldwide, and so one of the trips we took was to Israel,
Yeah.
and it was such an amazing trip. It was a small group. We would like tour through things.
What
cities,
year was
and
this?
I don't know, 2015, 16. I don't know.
Is it before puberty or after puberty?
I haven't had puberty yet. So.
Oh,
Still waiting. Maybe in your
we're still in the
30s.
Yeah,
pre.
I'm still
Still in the
waiting.
pre.
No, but then anyways, we had a plan to go to the Dead Sea and swim in the ocean and all that, and then we
That's
go back
cool.
to the hotel, check in, and I was like, it's kind of hot, so we're like messing with the AC, and Jester's like, nah, don't fuck with it, and then I was like, no, I'm so adamant on bringing the temperature down, and all you see is sparks, and then
Yeah.
it's like
Sparks?
everything just dies. The AC dies, and it's super hot, and we're like, oh my gosh.
The entire hotel has a blackout.
I don't know. I think it was just our room. But
Just
then,
our room.
And then we called maintenance, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're coming." So we're like, "Okay, well, we have to wait for this guy to come and fix our AC
took
now
so long.
before we leave." Took so long, and then we ended up going to Dead Sea. Only one of our friends was left there, and we just swam for like 10 minutes, maybe.
Well, because in like the Dead Sea, there's such a high like salt percentage in there.
yeah.
That like any
Oh.
sort of tiny cut you have,
Oh.
you're like
It
on
stings.
fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you also like are very buoyant. So
Yeah,
like,
so you can
we were
just
doing
sit in
anything
the
to
water.
float,
Yeah, it's really
Oh.
cool.
It was such a good
Cool.
experience. It was so
Yeah.
cool, but I'm sad we only had 10 minutes. It's all good. Thank you. Sorry.
And sorry to the hotel for
Yeah.
breaking the AC.
Yeah, they fixed it though, and then we slept together.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, no, again, thank
Yeah.
you, Jasper, for coming on. You're an amazing artist, all around guy, dad. But yeah, I mean, tell us your story.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised here. And I went to Kalani High School because that's always the question, right?
Public school, baby.
Which school did you go to? And I left and I lived in the Bay Area in San Francisco and Oakland and Berkeley.
For art school.
Yeah, Pacifica. Yeah, for art school. And I lived in the Bay for about 6 years. I lived in Kyoto for about half a year and Hong Kong for 4 years.
Oh, that's cool. What were you doing there?
In San Francisco, I was mainly going to art college.
Uh-huh.
In Kyoto, I was going to Kyoto Seika Daigaku, which is a I was studying manga, but I couldn't really understand
Nerd.
Japanese,
just
so that was a whole thing. And in Hong Kong, I went there to learn about manufacturing, and I also started a gallery in Hong Kong.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where your whole vision and idea for Powwow started, right?
Yeah, in Hong Kong. Yeah.
So tell us about that and what kind of drove you to do that.
So when I was going to art college in the Bay, like I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't really have like a direction. And I think a lot of students that come out of art college kind of have the same sort of situation, the same issues. And when I was going there, they were trying to push me to become either an editorial illustrator or to do children's books, which I didn't want to do. And so I was really interested in manufacturing. Like I was really interested in what the process was and to get like an idea into physical form. Oh, was that like a sort of temple ring? So then I decided to move to Hong Kong because China is one of the manufacturing capitals of the world, and Hong Kong in a lot of ways is a gateway to that. And when I moved there, I just, hit the ground running, and I reached out to a lot of manufacturers. I ended up meeting the people that produce, everything from Ralph Lauren to Coach, Steve Madden, etc. But while I was also there, I really wanted to continue having my artwork shown in galleries because I really fell in love with that while living in San Francisco. Because I was living in the Bay between like '01 and like '07. And during that period, like everyone was an artist in San Francisco. And there was always these gallery shows, and I was involved in a lot of gallery openings. And also at that time too, this is sort of like before the real advent of like social media. So for a lot of visual artists, gallery shows was all you really had. And it was a way to, get your work validated and to finally show your work. Because, art can be a very sort of isolated pursuit. Like you're in your gallery or you're in your studio just working, and you can finally show your work. So I took my portfolio around to different galleries in Hong Kong, and I got rejected pretty much by like every gallery there. And one of the main reasons that different galleries told me was that I was the wrong type of Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah, they were telling me
Wow.
that, the hot commodity is mainland Chinese artists, like artists from China, like Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou. And because I was American Chinese, there was less potential to sell my work.
Oh, wow.
So as a reaction to that, I started my own gallery. There was a space that used to be a restaurant, but it's been abandoned for about a decade. And it was in this area, this district called Sai Ying Pun. The one thing to know about Hong Kong is that every district is split by different industries. So there's a district that just sells, electronics, or sells home appliances or toilets or, textiles, etc. So Sai Ying Pun was known for dried seafood and sort of offerings to your ancestors that have been deceased. So
So, yeah.
they kind of look like piñatas. They're like
Oh.
made from paper and you burn them. But they
Okay.
have everything from mansions to like luxury like
and
bags,
stuff?
like Louis Vuitton bags.
Oh, that are to burn.
Yeah,
to
to
kinda, like,
burn.
offer up.
to like sports cars.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Like random stuff. I wanted to buy a bunch of it because I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
it was so cool.
Yeah.
And my grandmother told me that I shouldn't because it invites ghosts to your home because they
Oh.
want your
They want
stuff.
that. Yeah.
But I'm like, but they look like piñatas. And so it wasn't really like the gallery district, but the gallery district was maybe like 2 districts over, like, it's like Seungwan and like Long Kwai Fong, right? Central. And so it's kind of like out of the way. And, paint the walls, put some, windows and a door, and you have a gallery. And the first exhibition there was the first powwow.
Nice.
Was in
What
Hong
year
Kong.
was that? When
That was 2010.
it was just your art in your own gallery.
Yeah, so then it was a way to not only show my own work, but also to show work of local artists and bring an artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were showing other people's work too?
Yeah, so the very first powwow, that the idea was to share process. I wanted it to be like an open studio where people can come and see the artist's work and create work. And also to, bring other artists around together to sort of collaborate together, but also to sort of forget about the financial nature of the art scene. Like let's not think about selling the work. That's why we, the first show, like we ended up like destroying some of the work, so that we were just painting for art's sake.
Yeah.
For like when we were kids and we just enjoyed doing it and not
Yeah.
thinking about okay, this is only a success if we sell X amount of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did Hong Kong receive that first powwow?
A lot of people came out, especially since like where we're located, like there wasn't even a subway station nearby. You had to like take the nearest one, then take a taxi or walk or take the tram or whatever, you know. So it was out of the way, but people really came out and forced to support, you know, a gallery that was aiming to do something different that was beyond what the norm was.
Nice. So
Yeah.
what did that like kind of like validate for your like answer, you know, like in that whole process of doing that and then like seeing it come into fruition, like what was that like for you?
I think for me, it kind of validated the fact that I could also, you know, be a gallerist and be a curator and organize events, and I didn't have to like rely on another organization or person to help me do that as an artist. You know that, you know, if no one was going to show you, then you show yourself.
Yeah, you kind of like saw a problem and then you solved it. You kind of created your own solution.
Yeah, it was like I mean, definitely a big learning curve, but also that's part of the fun too, to sort of like learn something new or learn to like operate something or be an entrepreneur. You know,
Because that's
and,
not something
yeah.
you planned on doing, right?
No, but at the same time, like Hong Kong was great in the way that like the cost of living is low, so you can do things like this. And also, I was like, you know, I was young. You know, I was like young. I was like single. Like just, there was less responsibilities. I didn't have kids yet, so you
You're
could
still
spend
young.
money on stuff and make things happen. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's less concern.
Was that your first business that you started?
I would say so, yeah, because before that I would mostly like freelance do like graphic design work. Like I did like, you know, I mean through college and high school I worked for a design studio and I did websites for like I did the first convention center website and like, you know, Lexus ones and stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay, so yeah, that's Hong Kong 2010. And then the first big Hawaii one was the year after. So like what was that like, that time frame from doing that first one, kind of realizing what you have going on, and then what was your motivation to bring it back?
The motivation to bring it back honestly was Krista Whitmire. So I knew Krista prior, and I actually knew her. I met her out here in Hawaii, and at that time I was working for Hypebeast, and then she was doing her nightlife blog.
She was like the original,
Yeah.
before Instagram, before any blog. She was like the night, like you would go to her site to see what was going on.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, because I was also like working for like a blog, you know, because Hypebeast
You're
was
like
primarily
researching
one.
probably, yeah.
Well, no, someone told me, I was like, oh, you should meet Krista because she's also a blogger. It was like, you know, connect the bloggers together because this is like back in my book.
Yeah, yeah. The
09,
OG
you know,
influencers.
And so I met with Krista and she wanted to come up to Hong Kong.
Oh,
So that first one I did back in 2010, she was staying at my place when she was coming to visit, and then she was there during my very first event in my gallery in Hong Kong. And I wanted to make it a traveling show afterwards, and she was like, "Hey, you should bring it back home." And I kind of had my doubts because I wasn't sure if it would be received out here in any way positively. And so you know what, at the very minimum, we can try. So I tried to raise money for it, and a lot of brands turned it down because they kind of didn't see an art event as a good vehicle to promote their brand. So, you know, I was given, you know, 3 options to either, you know, give up and not do it in Hawaii, or scale it back, maybe make it cheaper, or just like go for it.
Max out your credit cards.
Yeah, again, being single, no kids, you know, I like maxed out my credit card and I purchased, you know, everything. You know, I purchased all the flights and the materials, etc. Reconnected with Kamea, who also went to Kalani, and they were building a house on the North Shore to hopefully also be an artist residency. So we used that place as the accommodations, even though it was like really far away. And we just kind of like bootstrapped it, you know. We did it at the old Fresh Cafe. And the one thing that shifted the way that we did, because then that was also an exhibition in the back warehouse, was there was a wall in the parking lot.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the first wall?
Yeah, so 123 Clan from Montreal said, we should paint this wall. I was like,
So you weren't even thinking about that.
no, I didn't. Yeah. And I was like, okay, let's like, you know, yeah, let's try that. So I went to the neighbor who was they had, it was a veterinary office.
Yeah.
I think it still is one. And she didn't want it to do it. And
Wait, but the wall was the Fresh Cafe wall.
yeah,
It was
but then
facing
like
Fresh Cafe,
yeah,
but it
it
was the
faced
wall of
Fresh.
that
It,
building.
yeah, it was in the Fresh Cafe parking lot, but the wall itself belonged to the neighbor.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see, I see.
So I went in there and I told her pretty much like the sales pitch was, look, it's like a win-win. Like you either get a mural on the wall that you love, or if you hate it, we paint it over and you get a freshly painted wall. Like it's a win-win for you no matter what. She gave in and let us do it. We painted it. I like bought a scaffold for like $1,000, which I still have to this day.
Nice.
Are you serious?
Which
You have
which
to
like
keep it forever.
yeah, which like Wooden Wave borrowed to build their house and is like rusted now because of Madame
The salt.
Rossi.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah. But I've had that thing since like for like a decade.
Crazy.
But and then we like painted that first mural there. And the one thing that sort of shifted our perception and pushed us to do more mural work is that kind of fit a lot of our mission. You know, like one, you know, it's not financial based because we don't own that wall, so we can't sell the work that's on it. We can collaborate on it. We share a process. And it also helps to sort of beautify this community, this neighborhood. So then from there, we ended up the following year doing about like 12 murals. And more recent years, we've, you know, painted, you know, over like 100 murals with like over 100, with like about 120 artists in a week, and then doing concerts and block parties.
And that's just Hawaii.
yeah, and that's just
yeah.
why. And yeah, now we do it in over like maybe like 25 cities around the world. now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's genius, that idea of the murals, because then it's like an advertisement too, right? For what you're doing.
I mean, to a degree, but then like, you know, in the beginning, no one knew that we were doing it and no one, you know, associated the two to each other. It became more of a platform for artists and turning neighborhoods into open air galleries. And at the same time, we was trying to like make sure that artists had like, you know, creative freedom to do what they did, because then we weren't getting paid. I wasn't getting paid. I still don't get paid doing.
So it's not
doing
like
this.
client
Yeah.
work, you know, it's like
Yeah.
really full 100% creative freedom. And then I think back to your original goal of like sharing the process, you know, what better way to share the process of the artists than on a big wall where like everybody's passing by in public.
And people can go watch.
Yeah,
them
people are like
create.
gathering, you know, I've been a part of this since the first one, and like you see the community gather and they're watching, and you see all the different crowds come out. So it's really something much bigger than, you know,
Yeah.
anyone expected.
There's a lot of great, really like creative energy flowing through the
Yeah.
neighborhood during that period. Yeah.
That week is, so inspiring.
So where else have you been with Powwow? I know you guys talked about Israel.
Yeah, we've done one in Israel. We've done ones all over Japan. So, you know, we've done it in Kobe, Yokoyama, Tokyo. We've done Okinawa, Shirahama. In Taiwan, we've done it in Taipei, Tainan, Taichung. In California, we've done it in San Jose, Long Beach, Lancaster. We've done it in Austin with South by Southwest, Worcester, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., Cleveland,
Wow.
A long
Tampa.
list.
Wow.
Yeah, in Europe, we've done it in Rotterdam and Helsingborg, Sweden. We've done it in Kathmandu, Nepal, Guam. We've done it in Seoul, North Korea. I'm sorry, Seoul, South Korea. Not North
I was like, wait,
Korea.
what?
We've also done it in Seoul, South Korea.
What has been like the most memorable destination?
I think each one is memorable for like different reasons. But each one is memorable also because of the people. Because we also, you know, for each festival, including the Hawaii one, we try to make sure that the roster is like half local. So we can really build these bridges between artists from like all over the world and locally. And we really try to ingrain and have the artists sort of like connect locally with the community. In Hawaii, we'll, you know, do, you know, cultural tours where we've done tours around the island, or we've worked with NOAA to like go to Cannon Point and plant trees, and or to like lo'is and to sort of like harvest and clean them. And so we've done a bunch of different things over the years, and doing those in different cities is always really fun. Traveling, I mean, like Okayama was really fun because we were staying in the temple, and this is the first time the temple has ever like allowed outsiders to like live in the temple, and we decided to watch Hereditary while we were there
the temple.
because
While
the
you're in
temple
the
because the temple is kind of also kind of creepy. So we're like, oh, let's watch Hereditary. And then I remember Kamea being super scared watching it, and then he went to use the restroom, and then we all like went to like mess with him while he was using the restroom because it's like outside. He had like walk outside, and then because we were like just painting paintings for the museum, and then we found out like what its most popular event is there. Every year, a bunch of guys, like hundreds or maybe thousands of guys, come together, meet there. They only wear like the Japanese sort of like, it's like
Like a malo.
yeah, it's like a malo. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
this little like thong, and they all kind of like try to get this like stick, and whoever is able to get the stick, they're granted like luck for the whole year.
Where's the stick?
It's like the stick is like they all kind of go for it, and there's like it's like up on this thing. I don't
And
know,
they all just go for it?
there's videos of it.
Oh, I think I've seen it. Like one pillar and they're all trying to fight for
Yeah,
it.
they're trying to fight for this like stick. It's only guys,
And it happens every year.
and they're all like half naked. It happens every year. I was like, bro, I know how to win that. You like cover yourself in KY,
Oh
and you
my
just go.
slide.
I remember thinking like, oh, you know what the perfect theme song is for that
What?
ceremony is Magic Stick by 50 Cent. But it was a really sort of like spiritual moment at the same time. Like they did all these things, and it was really nice actually. A really great experience. I don't know where else. Like being in Guam was really nice. Being in Korea was really nice too.
Korea was fun.
Yeah, Korea was really fun.
I think what's cool about this whole thing is like when you're not, because I think it evolved a lot from like just the gallery space you started. You one, like more people and more organizations started getting involved, but then like you were opening the community up and like exposing people to the culture and like kind of like getting all of that too. So I think that was like kind of big, and I think just the way you kind of like grew it every single year, like that's been crazy to watch.
Yeah, it's been nice to sort of. It's an opportunity to travel. It's an opportunity to like hang out with friends all over the world. Yeah, it's been great. I'm lucky in that way where I can do that.
Are you continuing it? So this is the 12th year?
Going on 13, I guess.
13,
yeah,
yeah.
from 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're continuing it this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pushing for a new Hawaii one this year. Last year we did 7 festivals. The year before 7. 2020 was 4. Last year, or actually 2021 was the Bishop Museum exhibition here in Hawaii. Yeah. So I'm pushing to have a new festival here this year, but it won't be in Kaka'ako.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, but one thing that's happened too is our mission has shifted a little bit to sort of want to support and help out underserved communities. So we've done projects in public housing communities, in schools, even schools for homeless children in Kathmandu, Nepal. And one thing that's been really great about doing that is that it's very meaningful and impactful to these people that live there. I was just telling this story earlier today, actually. And when we were doing one in public housing, people always try to push us away from doing it because there's a lot of stigma and people are like, oh, you shouldn't go there, it's not safe, etc. But every single time we've done it, it's been great, and it's usually it's like all families that are in there. And this mother of 2 daughters came up to us when we were there, and she told us that her oldest daughter, was always afraid to tell people where she lived because she knew she'd be judged for living in public housing. But people that live in public housing don't choose to live there. They need to live there. And she told us that her youngest daughter told someone where she lived, and they responded by asking if that's where all the painting was happening. And she said that small shift in perception meant everything to her and her family, because it gave them pride in where they were from and where they lived. And so
that's awesome.
we want to do more of that here locally. So I'm pushing for it. I'm pushing really hard for it, actually.
That's amazing. And it's like stories like that like keep you going.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why we do it, because it's definitely not financial, because I've never been paid doing any of these festivals, but it's for the communities, for artists, for people, and it really shows the impact that art can have on communities. And
That's awesome.
Like I guess through the whole process of you doing all of these community things for other people, how did you evolve, I guess, yourself personally? Your art. I know a lot of things happen in that house, and you have a family now.
A lot of things happen in that house.
nothing's happened.
But I mean, like, how have you evolved your art and your personal life and all that kind of stuff, like in conjunction with all that?
It's always, I mean, it's hard always to sort of like find balance. Like, everyone's talking about work-life balance. And then for me, it's always been just trying to like take things one step at a time, so you don't get overwhelmed and get anxiety, etc. And so, and also, but also at the same time, like the one thing that I like to do and that I'm almost like addicted to is trying like new things and experimenting with new things. Right now, I'm trying to like do some other stuff right now that I don't know how to do, but that's always been exciting about sort of being an artist or being an entrepreneur, is to sort of like take these kinds of risks and see where it goes, whether it like brings money in or not. It doesn't really matter. It's more just sort of, you know, trying new things and learning new things. So I've always had this like hunger for like knowledge. So I don't even like listen to music when I drive. It's like all like NPR and like podcasts and stuff. And I'm always like listening to these things and watching documentaries, etc. It's just to sort of like find ways to like constantly sort of feed your mind.
What
Especially
are some
when you're
things
getting
that
older, you know?
you're fascinated with right now?
It's kind of, it's a bit divisive, but I'm like interested in how it can help and support process. I'm interested in like AI, especially when it applies to like art and writing and creativity. It's divisive because the art AI, like Midjourney and Dolly, etc., uses a process where it scrapes existing artwork.
Kind of like, yeah, it takes from the artist.
Yeah. It kind of, think
So,
of it as like,
copies.
it kind of like
existing?
It like studies
pulls
the
AI
process.
and sometimes just like completely like grabs it and like reformats it. It's sort of like, one analogy that someone said that kind of like helped to make sense of it is imagine like buying 10 pizzas and squishing them all together and saying that it's your pizza. It's kind of like that, you know. It's not creating anything from scratch. It's like pulling existing work and creating new work.
But some might say that that's like how human art is too, right? It's
Yeah.
like you pull inspiration from different
But
things.
it's less inspiration. It's more literally grabbing.
Oh, I
That's
see.
AI,
I
Taking
see,
some-
I see,
It's
I
literally
see.
like,
Yeah.
so I think a lot of artists kind of like, when that whole thing happened, it was like, yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, and because in some cases what it's producing even still has like remnants of signatures and things on it.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's very divisive. But there's also like a lot of different AI that's being created across the board, which will end up disrupting a lot of industries. You know,
Writing.
writing especially. Like it's been like,
ChatGPT is crazy.
yeah, I've like used it a few times. I'm like, what? Like, how is this?
Wait,
you
what
ever-
program is that?
It's called
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, and like pretty much you can like type anything in and it will like write things. So I know a lot of content creators where like they're writing captions from it or blogs from it, or like even like,
It's pretty
So you-
mind blowing.
It's
you
Well,
said
it can code.
yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's
It knows
so,
how to code.
Yeah. So it's like code something and it'll code it.
It's
So
Skynet.
you put in like the.
It's Terminator.
Terminator.
Oh my gosh.
No, but it's like we're
We just
getting
started-
there. It's crazy because then when we had Amy, so Amy, your wife was on season 1, and you know we were just talking about NFTs, and that was kind of like the new up and coming thing with art and all of that. And now with you, we're talking about AI now, which is crazy because it's like the up and coming, like it kind of blew up towards the end of last year, and now like people are starting to use it. And I think going into this year, you're either gonna have to learn it and like figure out how to navigate it, or you're gonna be left behind. 'Cause-
Yeah. That's how I feel too. It's like it's not gonna go away.
Yeah. So how do like, so, just
But
like social media.
I'm not like gonna like, you know, produce AI artwork and then just like put it out there, you know, but maybe it helps with process, perhaps.
I think
maybe it's
process,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm kind of stuck on an idea, you know, let's see what it creates, and maybe it can help to feed my sort of inspiration, because that's what I would do anyways. I would go and, you know, look through, you know, artist portfolios, look through Google, look through you know, Pinterest, etc., to sort of like get inspiration, and perhaps it can be a source of inspiration, but I won't actually like use it for something.
But not even like creative processes. It's like even like as an entrepreneur, like business side of things, you know,
Yeah.
like how can you use AI to automate some things that, you know, like
Yeah.
you might not like doing as much. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
They
There's
write
always like
emails,
new ones.
everything. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Like-
there's some that like also even produce music.
oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, like people want to connect with the creator, like the artist. People want to connect with the person who's making the art or singing the song, and so that's where it would. I mean, there's not going to be a face or a personality behind the AI. To be
Yeah,
that.
but then there are some industries that are definitely going to be threatened by it, especially
Yeah.
like if you're a copywriter, etc.,
Yeah.
and you can like either pay
Yeah.
a copywriter or like ChatGPT and have it just write it for you.
yeah,
But yeah, I was saying, I mean, like I had some friends actually call me asking because they were getting like a lot of anxiety from AI, and they were worried that it would take their jobs. And I told them, like, you know, as a you know, at least as a visual artist, I don't think it'll take away too much work from us. It may take away a little bit in some cases, but at the end of the day, like, you know, if it's an artist that's just like using pure AI to create work, like they can't do revisions. That's one.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Another is, you know, sometimes, yeah, people are hiring artists. Sometimes people are hiring artists not only for their art, but also because of them as an artist.
Right. And their
Yeah.
story.
And their story,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
yeah.
there's that too. And also right now, like AI art at least has difficulties doing a lot of different things. Like it can't do hands. It can't do teeth. Like it has like different.
That's a weird thing that it can't do.
Yeah, but you know, I think eventually they'll solve those issues.
It's crazy. It's like, yeah, it's gonna keep learning and getting bigger and crazier. And how do we navigate or control it or like figure it out? You know? So,
Yeah, because people are thinking like, okay, like, you know, how do we discuss copyright protections
Right.
when it comes to like AI art? Yeah,
yeah, crazy.
there's a lot. Yeah, there's
so,
lots
so,
to
so
to
that's
think
what
about.
you're pretty much like learning about right now.
Yeah. So then, but the thing is, like, yeah, as an artist or as a person, you know, it's good to be on top of it and sort of like, okay, what's coming out? How will it affect me? How will it affect my industry? Or how can I maybe perhaps use it for my own work? You know, how can I apply it, etc.
You kind of said it in your explanation, but like you said the word entrepreneur, and you know, our podcast we talk about like the whole process of things and whatnot. So what point in your life or career did you figure out like, man, like I'm gonna start something? You know, and like, I mean, I know you started the gallery, but that was still very like art related. But like, how did you like, okay, I'm gonna turn this into a business and like make some money and figure things out? So what was that like turning point for you?
I think for a lot of kids when they're going through college and school, they try to like set a very more like singular track. You know, it's like, okay, you're either going to be an accountant or you're either going to be an engineer or a doctor. You know, it's like, okay, you have these like choices and you have to kind of pick. And they always ask you like from like when you're a kid, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think I kind of went through that even through our college too. It's like, okay, you're going to be an illustrator. You know, you got to kind of pick which department you want to be a part of. You know, like you want to be an architect or a fashion designer or a graphic designer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I came out sort of thinking that like, why would you be so like regimented? Because it kind of, I think having a more sort of diverse set of skills and abilities can help to sort of not only be safer in terms of like your career, but it's also more interesting. And so I just wanted to try to do different things and see where it go. And I just would sort of try to do it and see, you know, try to do it until you fail at it. And sometimes if it's a success, then you kind of like, sometimes you end up like building a business from that. You know? Like, and I think, and sometimes like just following your passion ends up being your job. And I'm always telling my students that too, or sort of fresh grads out of college. Oftentimes they sit around expecting work to come to them. And oftentimes as a young person, that's just not going to happen. I think there's more opportunities now than when I was when I was younger. But, you know, I always tell them like, you know, like even if you have a 9-to-5, there's still time for you to do work that you're passionate about after work, after 5. And that passion work can end up, you know, leading you to a job that you love, that you want to be a part of. You know, like what's stopping you now from, you know, if you're interested in UI, UX design, to build your own app or, you know, build your own sites, etc. Or if you're into children's book illustration or children's books, to like sort of produce and publish your own children's book. Like now more than ever, all those resources are there for you. Even if you don't know how to do it, there's like tons that you can learn either from free sites like YouTube or from Skillshare or Domestika, etc. You know, like if you wanted to build your own video game, there's resources out there to sort of teach you how to build video games.
So many resources out there now.
You know, stuff like Unreal Engine, like almost has everything there right there for you to do. Like even if you don't know how to, you know, like 3D model, like it has everything in there.
With all like the information that's out there, what do you think is stopping a lot of people from taking advantage of that?
Fear of failure, probably. I think some people don't want to put the energy and time into sort of learning it and trying it out, and they want like instant gratification, which I think social media and different things that we've kind of become addicted to is at fault for some of that. You know, like I want to put it up and I want to be famous like now, or I want 1,000 likes or 1,000,000 likes or 1,000 views like right now. You know, and if it's not there, then they kind of move on.
Feel defeated.
They feel defeated, and the urge to sort of push through struggle isn't as there as it maybe used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because of the instant gratification sort of issue that we have with things that we have around us. So I think all those kind of things play into it. And also, I think the way that we teach kids is also a problem, because it's still very STEM focused, and we're not, and kids that aren't sort of talented or have a knack to sort of understand STEM feel like they are failures, when there are so many careers and possibilities out there that don't require that, or even require a high school degree.
Seriously, I'm like, we need to teach some like
Life skills.
like real life skills, like how
yeah.
to start a business or how to like do your taxes and like that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
or even like trade. You know, that there are sort of opportunities and careers out there that center around, like, being a contractor or an electrician. I mean, I met up with a friend who's a director, a movie director, and he was telling me how there's a shortage of union members in Hawaii. And that sometimes it makes it very difficult to film stuff in Hawaii because you end up having to fly in
people
IATSE members, and that costs a lot more. And so, and then to join IATSE, like that's one potential, career that you could head into, that gets you into, film out here. And so, I think a lot of young people don't see that, and a lot of schools are still very sort of English, math, science focused, and they're not thinking about what's potential out there. I was talking to a friend who's from like Germany who says that like they have a completely different system out there, where they have trade schools and that you can choose to be in there, and then by the time you're like 18, you're like ready to work.
You're working already.
You're already
Yeah, you don't have to deal with not being able to get in college, or perhaps like dealing with your
Test
debt,
scores,
all that stuff.
There's like super disconnect because there are a lot of people in Hawaii, I feel like, who would love to mentor kids or who would love to have extra help on set or things like that, but there's not really that like bridge, to like pair those kids up with the right people. There's not really a system for that.
Some schools are shifting their educational system, like Farrington is one, where they do it by academies now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so then they have like an art academy, a medical academy, and then kids choose
In
where
high
they
school
want.
already?
In high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's
I
some
didn't
that
know
are like
that.
kind of like
Yeah.
shifting their process. Yeah, because I work with the Arts Academy VP and Lisa Joy, and so they're trying to figure out different ways to sort of rethink the way they're teaching their kids, especially the kids in in Kalihi, where maybe they're coming from low income or from public housing. In some cases they might not have the opportunity to go to higher education. So what is possible?
Like, what are the what are the options?
opportunities?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh,
I feel like all schools should adopt that.
I think it's slowly getting there. I mean,
Yeah,
people
I
are
mean,
start
like-
with the times and
Well, and especially in Hawaii, like living in Hawaii, the cost of living in Hawaii, most people will leave and never be able to come back to Hawaii.
Yeah, and I think a big part too is also like addressing like access and equity. We have to understand that a lot of people in different areas, even here, don't have access to the internet, to computers, to iPads, etc. And so when we were hit with COVID and kids then had to distance learn, we forgot that a lot of kids can't. That they don't have the ability
Right.
to, because they don't have internet, and they also couldn't go to the library or anything else that might have provided those resources for them. So a lot of these kids end up either becoming like 3 grades behind, 2 grades behind, or they fall out of the system altogether. And so these kids are like, hey, there's another option if like perhaps trade, perhaps these other options are possible. And so so there's a disconnect of trying to find these kids and be like, hey, there's other ways to sort of make a living. You don't have to fall into other things that you think you might have to.
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what else do you do besides mentor kids and do powwow? And I know
Build
you
community.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just stuff.
What's your main thing? Is it freelancing still?
I mean,
your
yeah,
art?
when it comes to like sort of like financial and trying to take care of my family, because I also have like 2 kids in like private school, which is insane out here. It's like so
Kobe
expensive.
knows.
I know. I got 2 kids in private school too.
Like freelancing is sort of what I mean. I'm like doing design work. I'm like art directing, etc. Then I'm doing the festivals. Also trying to push my own work, my own art. Whether it be like my paintings or doing illustration work.
Every time I talk to you, you have something new going on, but it all revolves back to giving back. And I think that's so amazing, you know, like giving back to the community or creating some kind of opportunity for someone or teaching or mentoring. So yeah, that's huge, you know, because then, yeah, I mean, everybody kind of has their own thing to take care of and whatnot too. But then for you to be able to do that and give back, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Where does that come from, you think?
Just like I feel like there's a need to do it, and especially when you see gaps that are happening, and it'd be wrong to like just ignore it. And so you might as well try to do something, and even if you fail at it, you might as well try.
Yeah, so I think kind of like bringing it all back full circle, right? She kind of asked you what is stopping some kids, and you said fear, and think you kind of said it earlier too, but like what advice would you give to like someone that's kind of scared to take the next step or do something?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like, why even be scared, right? Like, you
Yeah.
know, like what, you know, at the end is like, if you're gonna do something, you know, at the end, like, what's the worst case scenario?
Yeah.
You know, and usually, like, it's not that bad, the worst case scenario. But it is hard to get past that though, because then you're dealing with like the anxieties, you're dealing with the pressure, you know, trying to like push past that oftentimes. But it's not always easy. I always tell kids, like, you know, at the very minimum, like, you know, try to find a mentor. You know, because
Yeah,
then,
that's so valuable.
yeah, because it's like, and then, you know, what is the fear in sort of finding a mentor? Like, the worst case scenario is what?
They'll say
They don't
no.
respond back to you.
Yeah.
Like, they don't reply back. That's not going to be that bad, you know, at the end of the day, you know, or that they're too busy, you know.
Yeah.
But then at that point, they reply back, you know, and that's big. And so I told them that I used to do the same thing. Like, I used to cold email, cold call, like a lot of people. And then even people that I didn't have their email addresses, like, I would try to like figure it out. Like, say if I wanted
Google
to try to
search.
reach out to, like, say the art director at like Wired magazine, right? I'll like figure out who it is by getting a magazine. Then you figure out who the art director is. Then you figure out, like, okay, it has to be something at wired.com, right? So maybe it's their first name at wired.com, or maybe it's their first initial and last name, or maybe it's their full name.
Just
Maybe
every
it's just their last
combination.
name.
Yeah.
You know, and then so then you like email every sort of variation, same email, and see if one
Catches.
doesn't get
Yeah,
returned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of that coming
Nice.
up.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. So like at the minimum, finding a good mentor.
Yeah.
But also
You're
the
a
fact,
hustler, though. Like, I feel like that's something that, I don't know, do you feel like that's something that somebody's either born with or not? To have that kind of drive?
I think kids these days have way more resources than
Oh,
we did.
100%.
Like when I
Yeah.
when I
DM 'em.
graduated
Yeah.
from college, like, you know, the only way we could market ourselves was sending postcards. You know, and so
well, remember that?
yeah, so then you would make a postcard with your artwork on it and the back of it, and you write something, and hopefully they would sort of like, and then everyone would do that. Everyone would do that, including professionals. And so you would hope that like your postcard stood out
Yeah.
from like everyone else's
Wow.
postcard.
Wow.
And that was sort of like marketing 101 for artists back in like 06.
So they kind of like taught you that, like, oh, make a postcard, send it
Wow,
out.
and you have to buy
Well,
a
like,
stamp
but that's,
every time.
yeah, but like it's like so, you know, it's like a very difficult thing to do, because then like you're competing and you have this postcard, and you don't know if they even see it at the end of the day, because you know, can you imagine how many postcards they're getting?
Yeah,
you know,
crazy.
at that
Yeah.
time. This is
Yeah.
like before Instagram and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So these days, like, kids are, you know, building followings, like, you know, through Instagram or through TikTok or something, and we didn't have that kind of stuff to help us push us
The
through.
resources are definitely out there. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, I feel
Just
like,
do
I
it
mean,
then.
we talk about young people a lot, and I mean, for young people, I'm just like, you guys have no
Excuse.
responsibilities. Like, literally just hustle and something will happen. But like, even for like older people who have maybe a family or like bills, you know, a mortgage, and they're stuck at a job that they don't love. Like, I know that there's like that one layer of like fear because you need to provide, but I mean, I don't know, you seem like somebody who's still taking risks.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, like, you know, what I was talking about earlier. It's like, you know, whatever free time you have, you could do something. You could build something. Like, if you're passionate about something, there are ways to learn it without going back to college, because I know that that can be out of reach for people financially. You know, there's so many online resources that can teach you, and also reaching out to potential mentors. I have friends that, you know, started being an artist like in their 30s or in their 40s. You know, they were tired of doing the work, and they said, you know, I'm going to go push for this and see what happens. And then they went and did it. You know, there were so many different sort of software out there that is affordable. You know, like for example, like maybe I can't afford Adobe Suite, you know, because that costs X amount of dollars a month and it's a subscription. Perhaps you're getting Procreate for like just $10. You know, and there's free ones as well. You know, and so for like, and there's so many other people that like, you know, if you want to get into photography or video work, you know, sometimes you reach out to somebody like, you know, I have an extra camera, I have an extra, you know,
Doesn't hurt to ask.
yeah, like so there are people out there that are willing to sort of help and have resources and willing to sort of support.
Kind of just gotta reach out and shoot your shot.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of young people, a lot of actually not even young people, a lot of artists have done their first murals through us, and we've helped them and we've taught them how to do it, and we've provided lessons on how to scale up, how to operate a lift, etc. And I always tell them, like, you know, like, think about all these sort of different festivals and events and opportunities. Like, you know, just come to our festival and you'll meet a ton of artists.
Yeah.
You know, and you can learn a lot from just volunteering and assisting someone. You know, and I know artists that have done that with us that are up and coming, that have ended up working for these artists or ended up, you know, building these connections and getting work. Because then networking is such a big thing too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, use these opportunities that we're like flying people in, that we're covering the cost for, like use these opportunities to like meet them, talk to them, ask them questions.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised at like how many people are more than willing to sort of, you know, provide their time and share. And you know.
You guys heard that? Just do the thing and reach out and go for it.
That's super inspiring. So what's next for you?
Well, I'm working on the Hawaii Festival right now. You know, putting out some sort of like toy products. Like I just released a plushie, and then a bunch of other projects with different brands like Bape, doing something with the Bathing Ape and A-Ape and different brands. Yeah, like not here, you know, in Japan and China, etc.
Where can people get the plushie?
Oh, it's on my online store. Yeah,
okay.
store.jasperwong.net. Yeah.
Do you have any squishmallows?
It's kind of similar to
Yeah,
it.
it's
very
right.
soft right
It's
there.
right.
Yeah.
That's so cute. I have a 9 and now a 10 and an 8-year-old.
Oh, nice. I
And
have.
they're
love it.
still obsessed.
Mine
Yeah.
are 10 and 4.
Oh, that's a big
Yeah,
gap.
but
How
I'm
do they get
getting-
along?
It's a big gap because we had a miscarriage in between.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And then we had a hard time getting pregnant again. And you know, like finally got another one, and now we have two girls. But we do not want another one, so I'm getting a vasectomy next week.
Really?
Oh.
Damn, he's turning 40 tomorrow, and then vasectomy, and everything's happening.
Yeah, Amy's like, "Oh, don't do it for me." I'm like, "Who am I doing it for?" For myself, like, yeah, I'm gonna go and get it cut up so I can like just for fun, you know, just for myself, so I can't, so I can be sterile for myself.
For yourself.
Yeah, I was like, what? But I mean, one of the reasons that we don't want another, because just, you know, it's hard, you know, especially in
Because
Hawaii. It costs a
you
living.
guys are both have that entrepreneurial like spirit.
And then we
too.
don't want to go back to that baby phase again, you know.
No,
The baby
no,
phase
no,
is
no.
hard.
I always talk to a
Yeah.
lot of parents where they're like, because then you have one kid and you have all their stuff, and then you keep it for the next kid, and then finally you have that last kid, and you're like, oh, I can get rid of all this stuff, you know, like.
And then they get pregnant.
Yeah, then you get the accident one. Yeah, so we don't want the accident one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also like to get Amy off of birth control pills.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like, yeah, maybe stop taking those things.
Yeah.
So you are doing it for her.
100% for
kidding.
No, I just like going there.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna
Because
get
everyone
snapped.
I talk to is like, "Oh God, it hurts so much." I'm like,
Oh no.
Oh no. I'll check in with you next week.
It's okay. My husband doesn't listen to this. He doesn't need to know.
Because then women can do it too, but one's irreversible. Is it the guys one?
The
Or
guys, you can reverse it.
You can
The guys
reverse
can
it, but it's a very tough procedure, and there's only like one doctor in Hawaii that does it.
Oh wow.
That reverses it.
Damn, that guy
Oh.
must be making
Yeah. So then,
bank.
like, so
Seriously,
if you
monopoly.
so if you're gonna do it, like it's pretty much like you're making that decision. To,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna like not have kids anymore, which is
That's
for me.
okay.
It's like
That's
yeah.
okay. She had 2 of your babies, and so
Two's
you
enough.
can. So
Yeah.
You,
you
don't
can
want. You say you don't want the boy. I'm like, no, pass. I'm okay. Yeah, because then
Yeah, we're
everyone that
good.
I know that has like boys are like, it's like they're like losing their mind.
I just watched my friends with boys, and I'm just like, I'm tired already just watching.
Well, the moment that kind of steered me away from wanting a boy is my friend from Japan came over. They were staying with us. She has 2 boys. The youngest one, the first thing he does to me, he comes up to me and he just like punches my. Gives me a vasectomy.
He gives you a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember I'm
Just
like,
for
I remember
fun.
thinking like, oh man, like I don't want boys. Then I see my friends with boys. I'm like, I definitely don't want boys.
Yeah. Come here. Oh my god.
Yeah. He shares
Like
those videos,
drawing.
and I'm like, oh god. He's like, yeah. I saw him this past weekend. He was like, man, like he's so different.
Yeah. I just saw him recently too. I was like, wow,
I'm like, yeah.
dad life.
Yeah, but at least the youngest one is a girl. But then he
Yeah.
says like, Ever's acting up because there's a baby
There's a
now.
baby
and
now,
So
yeah.
it's even worse now.
Oh no.
He's like drawing on the wall. He's like squirting sunscreen
no.
everywhere. Like
Yeah,
it's
breaking
crazy.
TVs.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh,
like eating stuff, but like not taking the wrapper off, just like biting it through the wrapper and just like leaving it with just like a bite out of the whole.
The whole
Oh my
wrapper.
gosh, how old is his son? Little.
2,
2 or 3. Oh, that's
3.
I think he's
hard.
older than me. He's like
maybe
3.
3.
maybe.
3. Yeah.
That's
but
a hard age
it's-
period, but for boys, they just are
Yeah.
like wild animals.
Yeah, he posts a lot on his social media, and it's like,
Yeah. It's like, look what he did today.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Great.
Yeah, girls are great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have kids.
I guess they're great until like maybe when they're older.
Yeah,
That's what everyone's
everybody
saying.
says
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but no, you're raising good girls.
Yeah.
They'll be sweet.
because they're both you're both eldest are 10 right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I feel like
but
she's
my
turning-
oldest is going through early puberty.
Is she already?
Damn, I didn't even get puberty yet. I'm just kidding.
Well,
You know,
like
some
a
of my
lot
friends-
of kids are a lot of them are going through.
One
Yeah.
of my friends said that she also has a 10-year-old, but she's like got her period already. I was like, wait,
Yeah. So
is
what's
that possible?
because we went through that whole process, and so then she started showing signs at like 8, which is a bit too early.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we had to do was we had to do hand X-rays, which sort of so the doctor can tell if the bone age is the same as their age, and in her case, the bones were older than her. And then you do like a lot of blood tests to sort of check the hormone levels. So we went through all that, and it was like, yeah, she's going through early puberty. And so what happens if you go through all that? They're going to offer the solution is to get Lupron. It's like a butt injection, like every 3 months that stops
Slows
puberty.
it down. Oh wow.
Yeah, and so it stops it all together, and then you maybe let it do the injection till like they're 11,
Oh, and then
and then it like continues. And
Oh,
so one of the
wow.
reasons why they recommend it, one is because for girls that young, like getting your first period can be really traumatic at that age. You're like second grade, like third grade, you know. And also, it also like stunts your growth getting too early.
Oh.
Yeah. So then,
Wow.
and so there's different reasons. But sometimes they also want to tell you that sometimes when kids have early puberty, it might be related to a brain issue, and sometimes it might be a brain tumor causing the issue.
Oh,
So then
yikes.
my daughter actually went to get an MRI to make sure that it wasn't that, too. So sometimes, like if they are getting early puberty, you might want to just go
Go
through
get
that
checked,
process,
yeah.
to like at the very minimum check, to like so like maybe you can see all that stuff earlier and
Wow, we
go
turned into
through
a
that
parenting
process. Yeah.
I know this turned into a
podcast
whole nother
segment.
But
podcast.
then
Yeah.
they don't tell you that like Lupron's also like really incredibly expensive.
Oh.
And so like you kind of like need good insurance to cover that cost, unfortunately.
Wow.
Oh man, all the things you get to look forward to.
I know. Jeez. Never.
Yeah, but these
know,
days like
Yeah.
a lot of kids are getting early
Yeah,
puberty.
no, I was gonna
unfortunately.
say
Yeah.
that's, I mean, a sign of the times. Maybe I don't know. They're growing up faster these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked the doctor like, what is the reason for early puberty? So he said, oh, the food that we're eating,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just every time. Yeah.
etc.
the
But he
times.
says one of the things that they, they're not 100% sure, but they think is causing it is that kids aren't as active as they used to be. Like they're not doing as many sports, they're not going out to play as much, and so they're more idle because of iPads and the internet and video games, etc. That like if you're not exercising as much, it can sometimes cause early puberty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because when we were kids,
When
like we
we were
didn't have
Yeah, we were running around.
We had like
uh,
nothing.
Yeah. You had to go out and play.
yeah.
Yeah.
Till it was like time for dinner and then you come home.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like you're getting to the plane. You're like meeting friends and playing. Like
Yeah.
there was. Yeah, I didn't get a computer till I was like in high school.
Yeah. Same. Now does your daughter have a cell phone?
Yeah, she has a cell phone and iPad, like
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Is Casey
Haley
up?
just
Haley?
Haley just got her.
Oh, no,
a
she
phone.
just
She's
turned
been
10,
on
that's
the
why.
iPad forever,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
like she got a phone.
Yeah.
Because now she's like in after school stuff and like I'm
Yeah.
like, she needs.
We just need a way to communicate.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Crazy.
thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, sorry. I turned to like a
Parenting
parenting
advice. I know,
thing.
I know.
Some people are like, "Oh, really?" Like,
Yeah, no, but that's good. Hey, someone might be listening to that and be like, "Oh shoot, I'm gonna."
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
So
gonna be helpful to someone.
vasectomies, early
I'm-
puberty.
I'm always like really, really impressed and interested in entrepreneurs who are like have kids too, because it's like being a parent is a full-time job, and then you're doing all this other stuff on the side. It's a I hate that word balance, but it's always like interesting to me. Like, what are some of the systems and stuff you have in place to like be able to do all of that? I know you and Amy are just rock stars.
I think that's a big part of it is like,
Good
you
part.
have a good life partner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that, you can take different tasks and then learn to also sort of communicate and like get past issues
Mm-hmm.
instead of like holding it in. And then it leads to something. So then like for us, like our entire relationship and marriage has been that, because then we got married because we got pregnant. And we were only prior dating for like 3 months. But then we were friends prior, so we knew each other. So it wasn't like I just met her and
Yeah,
dated someone. Yeah. But then she was the first girl that I actually lived with. Like before that, I was always living alone. So it was also learning to like, hey,
Oh, that's a big
Yeah,
adjustment.
learning to
how
live
do
with
we like
someone.
live
Yeah.
together? But also then like, how do you like live together? Then how do you take
And then
care
how
of
do you
a
have a
child
baby?
together?
And then how do
Yeah.
you have two?
Yeah, because then when
Yeah.
I was living alone, I was like, some days, sometimes that's like little things. It's like when I was living alone, I might not always wash the dishes because I might wash it the next day because I don't feel
Sure,
like it
sure,
at that
sure.
point.
Most
And then,
guys
but
are
then,
like
but
that.
then Amy is like, you need to wash it like then and there, and if
Yeah.
not, then you're like,
It's gonna sit there. Yeah.
yeah. And so you can put like, I'll make, you have to like make those adjustments. There was times when we first were together where I would like buy food for myself and not for her, because then I was like,
Forgot. Yeah.
because I'm like, I live alone for like a decade, like I just wasn't used to buying food for other people other than myself, And she'd be like, "Where's mine?" And I'm like,
Oh shit, I forgot.
I was like, "Oh, I'm living with someone now." Yeah. So there was a lot of learning curves, or even like sort of like one thing that we have now is like don't go to bed angry. So then if
Yep.
there's a fight between, like there's an issue, then we'll try to talk it out, And then before, maybe some of those fights would have just like, I'm just gonna break up, forget it.
Yeah.
And in this case, like, well, we're married with kids, like we have to figure out a way to work it out regardless.
Yeah, because I mean, fights happen. It's like, how do you navigate those issues and whatnot? So
Yeah. So there was obviously a lot of learning curves, through that, and eventually, like you figure things out, you learn things,
nice.
and you learn to like live with each other, and also like learn to parent with each
Especially
other.
you guys too, because then yes, you guys live together, you guys parent each other, but then you guys also work together. So you guys are like power couple, like
Yeah.
Megan and I always bring you guys up, and it's just like very inspiring because like you guys figured out a way to like work together and also.
I think a big part of that is also like understanding each other's strengths.
Yep.
And not then trying to like micromanage that. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I know what Amy's good at, so I'm not gonna like then tell her how to do that.
Yeah.
Then I'm
right,
just
right.
gonna let her do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So another good piece of advice for young people is find a good partner.
Yeah, which is not always so easy to do. Right?
I think that's harder now. Dating is harder, but
Dating is way different
Yeah,
when we were
yeah.
younger. Dating, it
You don't
required you
really-
to be brave and ask someone to
Yeah,
talk to
yeah.
someone.
Now
Like
it's
these days,
like-
it's like I'm just gonna go, and then if they respond, that means they like me.
Yeah. Oh, she liked my phone.
You get like way less like rejection.
Yeah. I mean, it's the next.
Yeah.
Nah, but no, I mean, thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
thank you for
so
coming
much.
on and spending your last day in your 30s with us.
Oh yeah. Thanks.
I keep reminding you because I think it's funny.
Yeah, my last day of my 30s.
I
That's
mean, but
okay.
you've
You
done
don't look a day
you've
over
done so much
39.
already, and but yeah, no, thank you again for spending time with us and sharing your story, and very inspiring to others, and giving back to the community and all
Oh,
that. So
yeah,
where
thanks for having
can
me.
our listeners find you and your work and all that?
Well, on social media, like most of it is at Mr. Jasper Wong, so Mr. Jasper Jasper Wong WNG. My website is jasperwong.net. The festival is Worldwide Walls, and yeah, and Lana Lane Studios, etc.
You got a lot. He's gonna list the whole list. We got another 10 minutes of stuff. But no, again, thank you guys. Like really, follow along his journey, the festival. There's a lot of exciting things happening this year and coming up. So stay tuned, follow along, and yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and let us know what you think. Thank you guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.